All right. Well, let's call this a start. Same way we always do it. Really informal introductions. Tell the people who you are and what you do.
So my name is Oriana Gerez. I'm a full-time artist, um, and I'm originally from Venezuela. Like you can tell I have an accent. Yeah, born and raised in Venezuela. Lived in Boston for a little while, like 10 years, and now kicking it in Miami.
Nice, nice. So I honest to God don't know how I talked you into this, but I'm so ridiculously excited about the fact that I'm sitting down talking with you right now. It'd be cooler if we could do this in person, but things. Uh, so I don't even know where to start.
So what got me into art?
Oh no, let's not even do. Let's not do that. Let's not be that corny about it. But for everyone listening, let's frame it up like this. Oriana and I crossed paths via Instagram, and I'm sure you've gathered this just from my IG stories. I'm pretty obsessed with Star Wars, crazy art, and nature, particularly like odd and obscure things in nature. You tend to blend all or some permutation of those things together in your work. So to people who only know me like mildly well, there's no puzzles or riddles or secrets here as to why I'm like such a big fan of like you and your work. So for me, one of the funnest parts about this podcast is getting to ask for the full picture. I see what you're doing now and what you've done recently via social media, and it makes me more and more curious about like the roads you've traveled and the paths you've carved out for yourself to get to this point as an artist. Um, so before we really dive into it, you've kind of helped with like setting the stage a little bit, right? So you said that you were from Venezuela, you went to Boston, and then now you're in Miami. But like, so can you talk a little bit about growing up in Venezuela? Like, I guess I literally have never had the opportunity to ask this to anybody.
Yeah, the whole thing is definitely like not as linear as that, like was here, then went here, then went here. Like I've been like all over the place. But those are like kind of like the main places that I've called like home base at like some point or another. Um, Growing up in Venezuela was fun. I didn't have like a typical experience, even though I'm from Caracas, which is the main city.
Yeah.
We lived kind of like half an hour out in a very particular setting, kind of like a farm actually. And we had like animals. I took care of about like 80 chickens, and I had a pony and like 12 dogs. And that was like, mostly like the the situation there. Um, and then just like high school, was a very interesting time because there's like a whole thing going on in Venezuela that like the whole country's like fucked up now. And I kind of like grew up like in between
Is
from
that your
like
professional analyzation of it? It's just a little fucked up
oh
now.
oh I call it like a fucked up like wonderland, because like you never expect like one thing to be like worse than the other, and it just like keeps going like down the rabbit hole. Like it's crazy. It's really tragic and sad, but like it's just like what sorry, I don't want to like swear too much.
No, that's
But
fine. That's fine. I asked.
yeah. But yeah, so I saw like the whole thing develop from like being like one of like the richest, like the most like prosperous country in South America to like where it is now, which is like one of the most like dangerous cities, places in the whole world. The crime is crazy. The inflation, the economy, like everything is just, it has like completely sort of disintegrated. Um,
And
or
you
yeah,
kind
so
of saw this take place like during your childhood.
right. childhood going into like teenage. I came here when I was 17 to
Okay.
Boston, yeah. But I've been like coming like back and forth since I was like a baby.
Yeah. So you said your brother was here in Miami, right?
No, my brother is actually in Boston still.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You definitely said that so was your brother visiting you whenever?
Oh, when I lived in Boston first.
I was talking to you not too long ago, and I guess I'm just trying to figure out how you guys were in Miami,
Oh
and you
yeah,
were
he
like,
comes
"Oh, I'm
all the time.
hanging with my brother."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he's in Boston.
yeah, yeah. But he
Uh,
comes all the time.
nice. Okay. So is the rest of your family there? Like mom, dad, like they all? Where's the family at?
No, my parents are also in Venezuela. Sorry, in Miami.
Okay.
It's just like Miami is so much like Venezuela because there are a lot of us here actually. A big, like, very large Venezuelan population here. But I have some aunts here. Some of them are in like Italy, Mexico, kind of like all over the place.
Nice. So when you were in Boston, you were there for college, correct?
Yeah, the whole thing, just like the
Yes.
whole college
Where'd you
life.
go?
Northeastern. It's like right in the city, like right down, not downtown.
Oh, did I lose you?
Oh, I don't know. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
nope. I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Um, no, so you went to Northeastern. I actually think I was I think I know exactly where it is. Is it kind of close to Berkeley?
Yeah, it's really close to Berkeley.
Okay, yeah,
It's
I
like
think
a
I
10-12 minute walk.
yeah, so yeah, I think I saw it the last time that I was in town. Um so are you or were you in grad school? I was doing
At
obviously I've
FIU.
done some digging in on you.
Yeah, what I put out there, for sure. I went to FIU for like about a year and a half, and I took some grad school classes, kind of following my major, which was physics. Um, and that was really difficult, more than expected. Um, really good school, the classes. I mean, the professors were great, and it was an interesting experience for sure.
Yeah, let's dig into that for just like a little bit.
Yeah,
Like, can we talk how you studied physics in undergrad and then particle physics in grad school? Is that like you
yeah.
went from
That
particle
was like
physics?
my direction. That was like my the kind of like the path that I follow. You can like there are different types of like physics you can do. You can do like plasma. You can do like cosmology, astrophysics. Um, you can do like nuclear particle. What else do people do? Like medical physics, biophysics, that sort of stuff. And I just like I couldn't see myself doing like the others. I mean, nuclear is fun too, but like I think like particle um, for so like sorry. Another thing is that you can do like either like theoretical or experimental.
Hmm.
And nuclear was like my second choice, but that's more like on the experimental side. And I'm not very good with like hands-on things besides painting. But like building stuff and like you probably wouldn't want me taking care of like a nuclear reactor. So I did the particle for a bit because I just thought it was like fun. Um, and yeah.
Oh, right on. Well, I just thought it was so crazy. Like, so I'm thinking I'm about to talk to an artist which I am talking to an artist, but as I'm digging into you, I find out that like you have this background in which basically amounts to being like the rules of the universe. So, yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. I don't know what got you into physics.
So when I was in high school, honestly, like I had some like ideas. I just like couldn't see myself. There was like a very short period of time where I wanted to be a politician, but like I realized I had to like deal like the my parents told me that like you basically don't have the personality to be a politician. You have to be like very bubbly and like play like both sides and like do this and stuff. I don't know. I like sort of like got out of that idea. So we had this thing in high school where the last year they allow you to do like an internship, whatever you want. So I went to, it's called like the Venezuelan Institute of like Scientific Research. So it's like, like the most like serious like research place that you can go to. And there's like really cool. At first I was gonna go to it was like a viral department, and they're like working different like viruses. They're studying like hepatitis, HIV, and like all that stuff. And I wasn't like too much into the idea. Then I thought about math, like the math department there, and it's kind of like boring. I have like a lot of respect now for mathematicians, but I don't know if I'm like about that super like abstract like thinking life type of thing. So I went into the physics. It was like my third choice. And then at the beginning of like my career, I was like trying to go more in the direction of like astrophysics. So I was studying like star formation, mostly like protostars and stuff, like how they go through like the different stages. And I mean, I don't want to like bore you like with this thing. Like
This doesn't bore me.
Okay, so like if you have like different accumulation of like masses produce like different kinds of stars.
Mm-hmm.
And by masses I mean like interstellar dust. So I was studying like within a range. There is so many things that you can do. I mean, the amount of like knowledge and like processes that go on, in the universe and stuff, can be a little overwhelming. But anyways, that's what I was studying. And then I went to college, and it just, took one class after another. Spent a lot of nights going crazy because of like midterms and finals that were not easy. It was definitely not an easy career to to pick.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's one of the most challenging concepts in general. Like, I know who very loosely I follow Lawrence Krauss. I'm not sure if you know who he is. He's like a quantum physicist, and he's so technical. Whenever I listen to him, like my like the gears in my brain just like seize up. Like everything just breaks. I can't understand him. It like the things that he says. I think like at one point he was on like a Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking to Joe Rogan about how there are different sizes of infinity, and I just couldn't keep up. Like my brain just didn't work like that. But and then there's like other mathematicians that are more digestible. I don't know if you know who Eric Weinstein is, but he's another really he's a really good mathematician in the fact that like he's real down to earth, and like he loves music and he loves art. So like he really kind of translates it into like a more creative style, and it's way more digestible.
Yeah.
And he's very he's a good orator. He's really good at talking. So he's got such a big vocabulary that it's just it is nice just to listen to him talk. Even if you can't fully understand him, it's not like an overwhelming or boring thing to listen to him speak.
Yeah, there are definitely people who have like a gift to, put like what they know into like into like the right words. Like in physics, like we have like Feynman, Richard Feynman. I don't know if you like know him.
Yeah.
Right. So he was like, the sweetheart of like physics, basically. Everyone loved him. He was like super charming, and he was able to like explain like all of these like amazing concepts like very easily. But not everyone is like that. Like it can get sometimes like you're sitting like in the classes and you're like, what? What is going on here? Especially with quantum stuff. Quantum stuff can be like, it's just like you somehow have to like know this. I don't know, it's just interesting to me, like the way education and like, processing like information and learning works. I think that we're better off sort of building like a really good AI and leaving it to the AI to you do the homework for us, maybe.
Oh, there's a lot of people that would be terrified to hear you say that. A lot of people don't really trust AI.
Well, it's definitely not to be trusted. I think it's like sort of like inevitable. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's just like a matter of when. And it's interesting to see, you know, the direction that like how we will cope with that as people.
Oh, we will cope with it by becoming whatever
They're
it wants
slaves.
us to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
it will be. We'll download into something that's less fleshy and decayed, like, or decayable. We'll be little hard drives after a while. Well, wow, we're really going into a different direction already. Well, now that we have this little bit of a landscape, this like Oriana landscape under our feet. Actually, before we get there, so you were in Boston, you're in Miami now, but how long have you been in Miami?
2 years.
Okay.
2 years, too long.
2 years too long. Are you not into Miami?
It's just like way too crazy here. Like it's like a very different scene from Boston, that's for sure. And like
I'll agree.
I didn't know because I didn't grow up here, and I never really listened about like Florida and like what's going on, like what people like think of Florida.
Uh,
All what
Are you there?
you
Oh
cut
wait,
off.
okay. Yeah, a little bit. I lost you at what people think about Florida.
Um, yeah, everyone thinks it's crazy because it is crazy. This scene is like kind of like too much sometimes for me to take. It's I don't know. I'm more like hiking, nature, reading and stuff. I'm not so much into like, you know, the club scene and like being as flashy as you can. But I think it's sort of shallow. Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't say it much better myself. The last time that I was in Miami was for a bachelor party. So, I mean, if it's a bachelor party destination, you know, like kind of says a little something about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
no, I
right.
think it's like crazier than Vegas.
So, all right. So you've been there for 2 years. We kind of have a nice little timeline of you from Venezuela to Boston to Miami. Now that we have that, I want to get into your actual professional journey because this intrigues me. You know, what you go from basically aspiring particle physicist from Venezuela to a full-time artist in Miami. So
I mean,
tell me
yeah.
about what's that?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, just like, tell me about that. Tell me the transformation that takes place. You know, what were the obstacles? What were the opportunities that you took? Like, what were the decisions that bring you all the way up to this point? I'm very interested to hear how that all plays out.
Yeah. So I never like in my life like thought I would be like an artist. I wasn't. I don't think that I could, and I don't think that like I should become an artist. Like this is like me growing up. Never took like any art classes. I mean, I started some. I've always liked art though. Like going to museums. Like whenever I go to a new city, the first thing that I look is like if the museums like what collections they have, and because I just admire art on that level. I admire art on like different levels, but in the visual aspect of it is definitely cool going to museums. But I like when I was in Boston, for example, studying for like a midterm, I often found that you know, just like sketching. Like I have when you study for like midterms, I have like hundreds, if not thousands, of like pages, like me, like with exercises, with like, and it's just like going like a little like off topic. It's just like funny because I don't know if other majors are like that. Because like when my notebooks, they barely have like any words in them. It's all equations, it's all numbers, symbols, and stuff, and like the 3 or 4 words.
Right.
So I have like hundreds of these pages with like equations. That's my whole college years. And then I have like a bunch of them where I used to like sketch, like like sometimes when the pages are like full of like letters and stuff, and you kind of like start seeing like patterns and like, oh, maybe like this, I could make like a cool face here and stuff. So I did that quite often. And then I don't know, I just like started to like seeing like reference images and being like, oh, that looks like a cool, I don't know, like anime. I could maybe like do it on this piece of paper too. And then they came out like better and better and better. And then like once I had a boyfriend, ex-boyfriend now obviously, that that I really wanted to like surprise with like something nice for his birthday. So I did like this whole box with like frogs and zebras and stuff, and it came out super well. So my friends like suggested that like maybe I should like start sketching more. So I started doing that, and then I put like my stuff up in like some gallery, some like collective art gallery in Cambridge, like right by MIT. And like I sold like a couple pieces like off the bat. I didn't even like know what to like price them for. Like this lady, like literally like the first day I had like an astronaut like that I had done on like a piece of paper, and she was like, "How much are you selling that for?" And I was like, I don't know. She's like, how, well, you gotta, I really want it. I was like, I don't know, like 20 bucks. So she wrote me like a check for like 20 bucks. She's like, okay, I'll take it. So that was like my first piece that like I ever like sold. And yeah, and that was like really inspiring that day. Everyone was like super surprised. They're like, whoa, she sold like an original for 20 bucks. That's crazy. I had like no idea. I was like, I don't know, guys. Like I made this like in 20 minutes. That seems like fair. Now, I mean, I know like a lot more that I did back then. But yeah, kind of like one thing to another. Well, after that whole thing happened, I kind of like left it for like a whole year. I had like a crazy year, kind of like traveling like around the country and stuff. And then after that, I was like, okay, it's kind of like time to like get grounded, kind of like get your shit together and like start doing something. So I started taking classes at FIU, the grad school stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to pay for that, I started doing like art and like selling. Like my first painting, they were like all like small, like 16 by 20s. So I was like selling a bunch of those to pay for FIU and like my living expenses and stuff. So at some point, I realized that like I was selling a lot of paintings, and like I found myself wanting to paint more and more and more. And I was having like more fun with that than like FIU. The whole grad school thing, I mean, not the whole of it, but like it was like really tough. So I just like shifted to art. I don't know, something about like grad school. I think that the structure of it is a little, it definitely has like some flaws. I think that I'm like a big believer in like learning like on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't know, maybe like I can just read a bunch of books by myself and maybe like consult with some people who know more than me, and take it from there. To seek like the knowledge that I want to
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm in a family of educators. So, there's a lot of opinions about education floating around in my family, but, me in general, I'm of the belief that education right now is very antiquated.
Right.
And like really rigid, like it's like really keeps you in a box. And
From
like
like the
my
very
whole
beginning.
yeah, and like my whole major that I had in college, I went for multimedia and journalism, and I don't think you can get the journalism part the way that I did in school, but the multimedia part is all on YouTube for free. Like people are doing every program. Hey, first off, a bunch of the programs that I learned are now completely not even a thing anymore. Like like technology has moved beyond them. So, but everything, basically that's like in the Adobe suite, people are just pros online putting their tutorials up for free. And I paid, I don't even know how much for it, but I still, I'm still paying off the loans.
Ooh. Yeah, no, like how old were you when you like first went into college?
I was 18 when I started, and then,
Right.
graduated when I was 22, took a year off, and then I went to grad school like about a year after. So I was like 23 to about 25, went to grad school, but thankfully for grad school, I had a plan. So I got a job at the college,
Mm-hmm.
at the university that I was at, and used their tuition remission program so that I didn't have to pay for school, which was great. I
And
had
you
to pay
didn't have to get more in depth, like Jesus.
yeah, like I had to pay credit fees, and it came out to like maybe $5,000 total. But like if I would have had to have paid for my graduate degree, and then it would have been the same thing. Like everything that I would have learned that I did learn in graduate school is now on YouTube for free. I would have been so pissed if I was that much more deeper in debt because I
Yeah.
decided to go to grad school. And it's funny because like now now I'm starting my own business, and I'm utilizing a lot that I learned in school, but most of it was kind of self-taught from YouTube, things like that. And I don't have a lot of good things to say about education. So um, I guess I shouldn't say that I don't have a lot of good things to say
Yeah.
about education, but like I don't have a lot of good things to say about the
Let's say the
cost of
education
education.
system in this country.
Yeah, well, so yeah, I guess that's an interesting thing. Like, did you notice a difference in like style of teaching between like Venezuela and here? Is there a difference?
Um, I mean, I feel like great teachers are gonna be like great teachers, like whatever. And I noticed that, like trying to think now of like the similarities is like they're all passionate people. They're people who like can express like their ideas in like a clear way, and that like kind of like get you inspired to like keep going. Um, the style is the same. It's all about like competition. Unfortunately, it's about you know yeah, it definitely like antiquated. Price wise though, here, unlike any country in the world, it's like crazy expensive, especially like as an international student. Like we don't even pay, like you guys, like if you are like in state or like out of state, it's like a price. But if you're like an international student, they like, like all the way. So,
Oh, is it even more expensive for you?
yeah, dude. Like,
Really?
yeah.
I thought, man, that's so interesting. I thought that they would, just because of the way the US is now, and like everybody wants to be, like integrated and have like diversity and whatnot. I would have thought they would have offered like pretty
Oh,
steep discounts for international students.
no.
Oh,
They're like, oh, you want to come to the US? Well, then pay for it. No, it's always like about like 10 to like 15,000 more per year for an international student.
holy crap. Like it as if moving to the US isn't enough, right? Like as
Yeah,
if that doesn't come with its massive expense already.
right. Like, and like what's crazy is like what was happening with this whole like online thing. I like feel for those people, like international students, and they're like, yeah, you want to come to Harvard? Well, it's like gonna be like 60,000 a year, but you're gonna take the classes online. Do you still want to do it? It's like what?
Right, right. Oh man, we could go down such a rabbit hole about education and what the price, like what that price tag is actually paying for, but let's
Yeah.
not. I like talking about you and your art more. So just for the people listening, well, I guess like if they're watching, they would be able to see a little bit of your work kind of behind you. I noticed obviously you have your newest piece that you're working on right behind you.
Yeah. So this is like my home studio.
Hmm.
My actual studio is in a place called Raw, and it's like a whole area, whole floor. But the thing is that like I don't have AC there, and it gets like crazy hot, like sauna level hot. So in the summer, I brought like all my stuff here, and then like I kind of like got used to here, like with the AC and stuff, and I kind of like don't want to go back. But whenever I finish a piece here, I bring it to that studio. So here I don't have like that many pieces to show. Like you can see like the the chalice there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
Grogu, what up, bro?
yeah, Grogu. Man, I have so many like some interesting theories about Grogu. I was talking about this with a friend the other night. Like, can we talk about this for a second?
Yeah, yeah, well, let's do it. I mean, I definitely have a bunch of questions to ask you about Star Wars, but we'll do it later. I have a whole thing that I want to do with you.
So this is like a crazy theory that I had. You know, I mean, there's so many like crazy things that have been happening lately with like Disney and, you know, like the big announcement that they did yesterday. It's like we're not gonna just bring one show, we're gonna bring like 10 like new shows or something. It's like they
Yeah,
want
it's
like a lot.
crazy.
Yeah, like what do you, how do you feel about that? What do you think?
So I actually have like my thoughts about it are like I'm super excited about all the shows, and like the Rogue Squadron movie I think will be really cool. I think all of the movies that have been away from the trilogy have been the best movies, like
Right,
Solo,
like
Rogue
Rogue
One.
and yeah.
So I think that like I'm excited for the movie being a one-off, and I like the shows as well. But I think the thing where I'm like most let down is how inside the box they're staying with like I'm not mad at it, but I'd really like to get outside of this era of Star Wars, like outside of the Skywalker era,
Right, like
because they're
move
just
on.
staying inside of it, and there's so much more. Like we know there's so much more. And they're the one show that they're doing it with though is the one that's kind of about like the Sith. It's called The Acolyte,
Hmm.
and that's supposed to take place, I think, like 30 to 50 years prior to the first, I guess, like the prequel trilogy, episode 1, 2, and 3. So the Acolyte, I guess, is kind of supposed to focus on like, the dark sides, the dark side of the Force, and just like their power lust, and like that whole mythical magical side of it that they utilize. It's like kind of like leans almost like voodoo-ish, as where
Right,
like the Jedi are almost more like monkish.
right.
But yeah, so that's my feeling, is that I all Star Wars is good Star Wars to me. Like if it's new Star Wars, it's good Star Wars. There was a point in my life where I
Not
thought I was gonna.
picky.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a point in my life where I thought I was only gonna have 3 movies, and that was it.
Okay.
And then after that, they re-released those 3, and they put in like a couple extra scenes, and then all of a sudden they decided to do the prequels, and I'm super stoked about that. And at that point, I'm like, think I'm in middle school, maybe middle school, or just got into high school. But yeah, I was so excited about that. Just being like, finally, like I get more of this thing I've always been obsessed with. We might as well just get into it, because we're talking about Star Wars, and then we'll just backtrack back to you being an artist. So I'm born and raised a Star Wars fan.
Right. Grew up with
Like,
it. Same
yeah,
thing.
like my cousin, who I'm actually later on going to be watching, like we do like the Zoom call together, and we just talk about the Mandalorian, and then we get off, watch the
You watched
Mandalorian,
it, yeah.
and we get back on and talk about it after. Him, his brother, and then their father is my godfather. I just have known them since I was a baby, basically, and they've always loved it. And I just was raised on it because of seeing them. And I think my parents just kind of egged me on, because if their best friends' kids love it so much, and you know their best friends love it so much, then it must be okay for me to like it. So they've just been egging me on, and so that's my whole, like, my life is like all Star Wars because of that.
How many lightsabers do you go through?
Ooh, I
Wait, do you have
have
any
3.
siblings? Do you have any siblings?
I have 2 older sisters.
Okay, 2 older sisters. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you play lightsabers with them? Because I did with my brother.
No, I don't think that they were more open with me bringing like a couple action figures in to play Barbies with them than they were. Like, I was more the play toy for them than they were for me. So I was the one that ended up with makeup on me. I was the one that like ended up being dressed up and stuff like that. Like, I'm admitting this on a podcast. Jesus. Okay. So yeah,
I feel like older sisters, we do that to our like younger brothers. You know, it's kind of like
your
a social
brother
experiment.
older?
Younger. So I like totally relate to your sisters. You know,
yeah, I feel his pain.
like Jorge, his name is Jorge. It's like, you know, you're gonna bring this and this toy, and when they come to play with the Barbies, like they're gonna say this and this line. I had like the whole thing like planned out. So it was like so funny. But one time, like my dad, he brought us like lightsabers that he brought from like a travel to New York. I mean, we destroyed those things in like 2 minutes.
Now I'm the opposite. I'm not a collector, but like I have a lot of stuff. Like, people buy me stuff because it's like low hanging fruit, you know, like they think of me, they think of Star Wars. When there's a gift giving opportunity, like it's a Star Wars gift. I'm like, you know, I'm 36 now, and I am positive for Christmas I'm going to get a bunch of stuff that's like meant for like, you know, a 10-year-old. But I'm not.
Like you have like a room like filled with Star Wars.
I do. I have a shelf right over there that's all Star Wars stuff. I have boxes in my closet that I haven't even unpacked. Like, when I finally buy my own place, I'm definitely going to have like a Star Wars room. And I have a lot of art. Like, if we went into like my other room, I have a lot of art and stuff over there that's all Star Wars. I mean, there's art here. I have like this Banksy knockoff that has like an AT-AT and an AT-ST like looking at each other, and it says, "I am your father." And then there's like episode 4 poster of A New Hope on like a block of wood.
What was your favorite?
I think my favorite is Return of the Jedi. I think it just kind of has a little bit of everything. What about yours?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was like really little when like Phantom Menace came in, so I kind of like, I don't know, it kind of like stuck with me.
Yeah.
So for that like nostalgic reason alone, I do like that. Looking back though, I'm not sure, like, you know, it was like great acting, but I think the storyline is like so nice. So.
I mean, The Phantom Menace is not a terrible movie. It takes a lot of flack, but yeah, the acting is pretty bad. The kid who plays Anakin is it's a bummer. I know he gets bullied now, like as an adult. He definitely like had some issues in high school and stuff like that. There's been stories written about it, but yeah, he wasn't amazing, but there's so many good parts to it. Like I feel like people always forget about like how amazing the pod race was the first time you saw it.
Do you play the video game too?
That original one on like N64 or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, and then like seeing Darth Maul for the first time, and like whenever he finally lights both sides of the lightsaber, and you're like, oh. Like, just all Star Wars fans are just losing their mind. Like, 2 blades. There's 2.
There can be 2.
Yeah, and then you know the fight, like that fight scene where it's Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan against Darth Maul, and just like you've never seen a fight scene like that with lightsabers, because you know in the earlier Star Wars movies, they just didn't have that good a choreography, but like it was usually Luke versus whoever. But it was like Luke versus Darth Vader, and well, I guess that only happens twice, right? Empire and Return, but that Obi-Wan fight with Darth Vader is like real nothing. They're just like meh, 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 meh. Like they're not like really doing much anything. It's not very impressive. And it just shows like that's just the signs of the time, right? That was in the 70s, so they didn't really know what they were doing as far as making that realistic.
Right.
Working on a budget already.
Now with the whole Disney thing, I mean, they pretty much have like an endless budget.
Oh yeah, yeah. They
do whatever.
They have a Scrooge McDucky and Money Bin.
Right. I think when I saw the thing today, I was like, holy cow. Like yesterday, I mean, all of the shows, like I knew there was going to be like an Ahsoka one for sure. But now there is like all of this. I do have like some like, first like, always like quality over quantity. So I hope that they're all like good. I hope that like they don't ruin it. And yeah, I mean, let's see, like, when is the first one like coming up?
I got to be honest, I'm not 100% sure about the start dates. I just kind of I'm so busy now. I didn't even get to like watch it. I just kind of read the updates as they were coming out, and just to see like what they were. But yeah, so I'm not 100% sure when the release dates are. But like there's just some things that I'm not concerned about, like the spin-off of the Clone. Did you watch the Clone Wars cartoon?
I watched like a little bit of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. I kind of like started and then sort of stopped because I had like too much going on. But I do want to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, you're gonna love
no matter what. I want to like watch the whole thing. There are a lot of things that I have like on my list. There's like so much to like watch, and one lifetime is not enough.
I know. Honestly, I get lucky because, well, I don't know if you call it lucky, but like, so I do most of this side. I shouldn't even call it my side job. It's really like my main focus. Like my 9 to 5, I would call more my side job. It just pays the bills, and
my
this
hustle.
is like, yeah. But I do. It's all from home. So for the longest time, I just grab my laptop and park myself on the couch and be doing what I needed to do on my laptop, and then I just have all this stuff playing on the TV in the background. So like, I'm a pretty good like audible absorber, so like I can not necessarily be like watching everything, but I'll be able to absorb the gist of it. So it's kind of how I've been able to keep up with all this stuff so well. But they in the new release of shows that they just dumped, they talked about the Bad Batch, which is a spin-off of the Clone Wars. And if you make it all the way to the end, there's a couple episodes where they introduce the Bad Batch, and it's awesome. They are so cool. They're such a cool group. So, and it's going to be, Dave Filoni, who's done all the cartoons, and he's done a couple episodes of The Mandalorian. He's actually one of the X-Wing pilots that's in The Mandalorian. And he's in charge of directing and and writing and basically being the show director for the Bad Batch and all the cartoons and whatnot. And it's all this is so good because of him. Like this second season of The Mandalorian has Dave Filoni all over it. So anything that he's involved with, I'm fine. I like go crazy. Like they should have him as a consultant for everything, like every movie, every whatever. If he's got time for it, stick him in there.
Yeah. I mean, he knows. Like, do you watch like the whole gallery thing?
What, like the whole thing from yesterday?
From behind the scenes, like how they made the show and stuff.
Oh no.
yeah, so like it was like really cool to me to watch that like about a week ago, and like how they brought like 5 different directors because of like how they were like the best at like the different things that they were doing. um so yeah, that's like it seems like in these like new shows that are coming out, like each of them like kind of like took one. I don't remember what's the name of the woman, not the one who did Jurassic Park, but the other one. She's gonna be doing one of them.
She's going to be doing the Rogue Squadron movie. Um,
Hmm.
it's Jessica something or other. She did the Wonder Woman movie. She did that movie Monster with Charlize Theron.
I
She
haven't
did.
seen that.
Oh, it's a intense movie. But man, what else is she doing? She's everything she's been on has been great. She's directed
I
some.
Robot, right?
What's that?
I Robot
Was she part of that? I don't know.
in
Maybe.
the it's a series, yeah, I believe.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, she's definitely done I looked at her IMDb recently, not too long ago. And I'm just trying to like pull it off the cuff, but uh, yeah, but she's great, and I think she'll be doing the new movie. I'm really excited about that.
Dude, that is like so awesome that you're able to digest like the audible things. It's like even if they're like in the background, just like your subconscious one or something. Because I could not listen, like subconsciously, like pay attention to something that's playing in the background other than music. Um, so while I paint, pretty much it's like a like my own nightclub here. It's all music, all day. Like I couldn't do anything, even like studying without music. It's music, music, music until I go to sleep.
Well, so that's interesting, kind of getting back
All
into
kinds
your
of
workspace
people
and
having
everything
it.
like that. Um, is there anything about your studio workspace or even just like the one that you have here that really helps you feel creative or stay productive?
Um, you know, I like it's funny because sometimes like when you work like freelance, you don't have like a like a boss like telling you like these are like the deadlines, you better like get this done by like this and this date. So sometimes I find it lately that it's been on and off with like the inspiration. um but I would say kind of like what gets me going the most is like sort of like like music that I find that I love, and coffee. Coffee is like what gets me going. I try to like not get too addicted to it because it's definitely like very like habit forming. And I'm really, I can't deal with like routine and like habits and just being dependent on like anything. Um, so yeah, it's
Oh,
kind of.
so you work from like you're an independent artist, you do basically whatever you want when you want to, but like what are your routines? Like I work from home, but I need this structure in the morning to kind of get me in this mindset of like this is how I've always gotten up to go to work and do my job and whatever. Now that I work from home, like at first I was kind of just like using it as like a weird vacation where I was like messing around and whatever. I was staying up too late, getting drunk
Oh,
every
dude,
night and like
yeah.
pretending like just because they didn't see me hungover that it was fine. But like still I had to start work at 7 a.m. the same like as I always would. And
Yeah.
and I'm half in the bag and I feel terrible. And I was like, this is horrible. Like I need to like that was a good lesson learning experience for me of just being like you need to have a new routine that gets you into like a work mode the same way you always did. So what about you? Do you
Right.
have like a routine that kind of gets you into your mode?
So like I mean, so a couple of things. Like first, like routines are kind of like very difficult for me. Like I don't like planning. I like more like improvising, like last minute, super like impulsive about that. Maybe I shouldn't be. Would have definitely got me out of trouble like a few times, but and I don't like setting up like a schedule. I like setting up like goals. So like in a week, I'll say, okay, this week I want to get 3 paintings done, and I want to get like these miles like jog. Like so, I set up goals instead of like a schedule, and I find that that's like better for me because I feel more free, and I don't feel like if I don't like meet like if I get out of like schedule, I won't be like frustrated, like, oh shit, like I was supposed to finish like this painting 2 hours ago. That's impossible with art. You can't just like time it. Because sometimes you want to spend like more time doing like certain details, and it just kind of like takes you there. So I would say that one thing that I do actively work against is like my crazy, like I'm not like a morning person. I couldn't like wake up like at 7, like nothing like below 9.
Oh man, you'd hate my job.
Like I just really cannot. And like I could, but you wouldn't want to like I'm not like pleasant to be around. It would be like completely useless. It's like, why did you even like come here? Um
That's
so
coffee for me. That's the only time I have coffee. Wake up, get the rocket fuel in me so that I can get going like right away. But that's
I
all.
thought
It's the only time I have coffees in the morning.
Yeah, I thought about like because it's so difficult for me to like get out of bed. Even like when I was in college, I was like, what if I just buy like caffeine pills and have them like by my bedside, and no matter what, I just like eat them and just like get up. But that never did end up happening. I would much rather what happened, and I'm not like super proud of it, but what would happen is like I would wake up, start running late for a class, and then at the end I was like, well, fuck it, like whatever. I'll just like study this what we were supposed to like study on my own, and I still like got great grades anyways. But that's not like maybe like the best way of go. So what I was going with this is that my schedule is like naturally like shifted like the other way. Not a morning person, but I can stay up to like 4 or 5 a.m. Totally happy with that. In fact, that would be like my preferred like normal schedule. But to live in normal society, you can't like wake up at like 5 and stay until up until like 7 a.m.
Well,
like
I mean, you can if you want to be a bartender.
yeah, no, that's something I've done before too, and it was definitely fun, but it was not very profitable for me because I just wanted to get people drunk, and I didn't care. So I was making like having like the bar like lose money. um but that's something I tried before, but yeah, just not a morning person. Totally shifted. um it's just more fun that way, when like the rest of like the world is like quiet and there's not so much like noise going around. Is when I can like fully like focus.
That you know what? That's really funny that you say that because I've now been working from home for about 9 months, and in the office environment that I was in before was so chaotic. And my team, I'm in tech. I
Was
do
it
a
like
lot
The
of
Office?
what's that?
Was it like The Office, like the TV show?
Oh God, no! I wish that would be
I
way more fun.
always, I've never had an office job, and I love The Office. So I always like, I want to get an office job, maybe for like a month or two, because I always picture it would be like that.
There are some people. There's just not that many entertaining people, but there are
Uh,
some people that are in there that do remind me of people that I work with. But no, it's not nearly as fruitful as that show makes it seem. Um, but it's always so chaotic. My team works in tech. One little thing that you do wrong, and we do streaming. We do a lot of live streaming from just within my team, and one little thing you do wrong can screw up an entire live stream. So whatever content people are trying to put out there, and we work in investor relations is like one of our big niches. So it's like people reaching out to their reaching out to their stockholders to tell them about their quarterly earnings or something like that. So like it's a pretty important call. Like you can't mess, like don't mess that up. Like it's actually
Right.
like it's like a a New York Stock Exchange like requirement that they do these things. And we'd be making these mistakes and they seem so dumb, right? They seem so small. And all of a sudden we're at home, we've been home for 9 months and those mistakes don't seem to be happening anymore. And we're starting to like, you can't be 100% sure, but one of the things that, we've always complained about is that we're just involved with too much chaos, that there's too much stuff around us, that all the complaining, all the noises, other teams communicating around us, people interrupting you whenever you're in a high pressure situation. And
Yeah.
like, they don't ask if they can interrupt you. They just do it. So all these things that can throw you off your game all of a sudden don't exist anymore. If they need to
That's so
get a hold of me,
interesting.
they need to message me and then I need to reply. All it's like everything is on my time. So now all of a sudden we're doing better work. So I think it's really interesting that you're like, when the world is quiet is when
Right.
like I can turn on.
Right. Yeah. It's, I guess like I could like equate it to being similar to like when I do like live paintings, which I've done in the past. When you do like a live painting in a different setting, there's always going to be like people, watching you, like asking you questions and stuff, and that definitely like decreases productivity. It's like very distracting.
Yeah.
So a painting that I could do, or like a section of a painting that I in live during live painting I could do like in 3 hours, I could probably finish it in like half an hour if I was by myself. So it's interesting that social factor kind of decreases
Yeah.
the productivity.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, it's just distractions, right? Like, they've said it forever. And, even when we were growing up, right? Like you're doing your homework and your parents are like, don't do it with the TV on, or, you got to do it in a quiet room or whatever. Like they're,
Yeah.
like at this point, I might have been cursing my parents out at the time, but now I see the validity in that, just based on, well, I might not even been making mistakes, but it definitely just took me longer because my attention was getting pulled away by something random.
Yeah.
So
No, things are definitely changing, and this is like one of endless changes to come. The future is definitely looking interesting. So, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I actually love this. Like, I love working from home. I've adapted to it really well. I know some other people really thrive and want that social interaction, or maybe that's some of the only social interaction they get if they're like a parent or something like that. But yeah,
They need that dopamine from the social interactions, like to be released.
yeah, maybe something, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the world has in store. We have some things coming up that'll maybe kind of show us the light at the end of the tunnel, and then at that point, everybody's going to have to make a decision how we move forward. But I don't want to go down that road. We'll leave that to the people that have to deal with that. So, like I said way earlier on, when I was looking you up, and I hate this because like artistic style is like such a really cliche to bring up, but like I would see you labeled as like contemporary urban or pop
I don't know.
surrealism. Like, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, what do these mean to you? Do they mean anything to you?
No, no, I mean, to be fully honest with you, like, I just put that there because, like, I had to put something there because it made sense. But, like, I don't like to be, like, put, like, in a box, like, like, I create, like, abstract painting. I do whatever I want pretty much with art.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen
It's
you.
not a good thing. it's not a good thing, because like, you know, as an artist, like you want to like be recognized for like a style and stuff. But I mean, I just, to me, also another thing is that I don't know. I mean, you know, life like works like in such funny ways. Like, I don't know if this is like something I'm gonna be doing like full time forever. I do love it, and like I'll always like create art like no matter what, because I just really like it. But there's so many things, and I just have like fun like exploring each style. Like lately, I've been doing like, a lot of like more not so colorful, like more like kind of like realistic stuff. Um, but then like I do like abstract, and then like I'll do like an impasto, like just have fun with all the different techniques. Like I don't like not it may, yeah, again, this is not like the smartest thing to do maybe, um but I don't know that because I didn't know to go to art school, and maybe then.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that was kind of what I was getting at. You know, I've gone through, like, I've gone through your Instagram feeds, I've been to your website, I've been to other sites that have your stuff on it, and like sometimes you can be like really cartoony, and sometimes you can be like where it's abstract, like it's almost like it's almost like intentionally messy, but you know exactly what it is. Or then like sometimes you can be just like so unbelievably realistic that like it's kind of amazing that like it's not real. And then yeah, I just, whenever I see such varying styles, and then you do on different mediums, like I love that like you can see in the background that your astronaut girl that you have going on there is like on all these like sheets of music. You have like these
Right.
interesting little nuances that you like throw in the background. I don't know, I like, so whenever I was reading these labels, I'm like, what does this really mean? Like who
Yeah.
decided that, and then obviously then there were multiple, so then it wasn't even like the people that were giving you these categories even agreed in the category that you were in, and they were just kind of struggling to try to put you in a box. And I don't know, I just thought it was strange. But I had to ask. I just had to ask
It's
if
like,
that
so
meant,
what are you exactly?
yeah, like Predator, like what the hell are you?
Yeah. No, I just like, you know, even like when people like call me like an artist and stuff, like one of my favorite quotes from like Oscar Wilde, my favorite books ever, was The Picture of Dorian Gray. I mean, I have a few, but he said like to define is to limit. So like I don't want to like, you know, be limited to oh, she does pop art and like that's all she does, and that's what we expect from her. Like, you know, no, like I take like this road or that road or whatever, and we'll see like where it goes. Like right now, I'm like kind of like more. When I said I was like exploring these different styles, I'm trying to more like see that I can sort of like do them. Because before, so for example, for like the Stormtrooper helmet, which I did, like the very last one was like very realistic with like the shine and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, they were all like super colorful, not like the actual like helmet. It's like, can I actually do like the real one? So then I tried, and then it came out like pretty well. It's like, oh, I can do that style too. Okay, well, let's move on to like the other one and see if I can do that one. Where that path is going, I don't really know. But we'll see like what happens.
I mean, I loved it. The first one that you did, like the old school helmet, like
That one,
that I was blown away when you posted that one.
yeah, I can do that one with like my eyes closed now. Like it's so easy to like do the trace and stuff. Like beginning, I feel like the earlier sketches, and I was like, sometimes it's like hard to look at them because like it's like this eye is like way, it's not like that, and like I see like all the mistakes. But yeah, I love doing that one. It's like I know the structure of it like quite well. I definitely want to get like more Vaders going, and it would be cool to do like a Citripio, because the way the shine is, like the curves and stuff, it can be like challenging, but I think I could learn some stuff from that, from those curves and stuff.
Hey, I advocate it. The more I love your Star Wars art. I mean, I love your art in general. Like you just recently did that, giant flower bouquet, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was amazing. I mean, you're incredibly talented. You do incredible work, and it's interesting because I can't always guess what you're gonna do next, which I think is really fun about
It's like a
you. Like
Pandora box.
yeah, yeah, you just kind of go. Like what I would have never guessed that you would have had like this like naked lady astronaut that doesn't have a midsection behind you. Like I have no idea that that's what was going to be the next thing that you were going to do. Um,
Yeah, no, it's like from like this one here, like the little
yeah,
prints to like that. It's like you wouldn't guess, right?
right.
That's what like galleries are like. So do you have like a series, kind of like something that like 5 pieces that look very similar? Oh, my dog came. This is Kira. So
Hi.
um yeah, no, I want to do the new direction. I definitely want to take, though. It's like more conceptual stuff, kind of like this.
Hmm.
Maybe like not so commercial. Yeah, sorry, commercial, but just like kind of crazy stuff.
So you've been saying that you're doing all this experimenting and people kind of weigh in on you whenever you're putting your pieces out to show. But like, did you have any mentorship? Like obviously getting into the art industry wasn't intentional for you. So like, have you?
No, I've never had any mentorship for anything. I mean, obviously, like, but like in like into physics, people ask me, so like, are there other people in like science in your family? What made you like study physics? I'm like, no, it's like kind of the blue, out of the blue. And with art, my family is like kind of like artistic. Like my mom, she does like some cool pieces, but okay, let me rephrase this. So I haven't like taken like art classes, but I definitely watch like some YouTube videos. I do get bored of them like halfway, so I was just like, whatever, I'll just like wing it, see like what happens. But my mom, like, she's like a great like art critic. I mean, it's not like something she does like for a living, but like she just like has like that natural like
She has an eye for
natural.
it.
Right, she has like good taste. It's like crazy. She has like way better taste than I am somehow. But like if I'm working on a piece, like I always like have to show it to her and be like, it's like looking good, and she'll be like, well, the helmet like doesn't have like that much shine. Like I don't, I'm not sure that like that's working out. Try to put like more shine here and there and stuff. So she kind of like directs me oftentimes, or sometimes she'll like look at a piece and she'll be like, that's perfect, like you nailed it, and that sort of stuff. But she'll be like pretty ruthless sometimes. Like
That's
sometimes
awesome
she'll
though.
be
Like
like
the fact, but it sounds like she's able to, like, it's not like she always has a criticism. Like whenever she sees it, she's like, don't do a thing, whenever, or whenever she truly thinks that like there's an improvement to be made, she's not afraid. I don't know. There's people that are like, is she good at delivering that without making it sound like she's beating you up?
I mean, like sometimes if I've worked for hours and hours like on a piece and she comes and says she like laughs at it, I'll like be like, I'll like get a little a little stressed.
A little sensitive about it.
Yeah, a little sensitive about it. Um, but like I'm like, I understand, because here's the thing: when you're working on a piece and you have something in front of you, okay, like I'll put it in like in a context like maybe you can like relate to more. If you live with someone for 5 years and you see them every single day, that person naturally changes like gradually, right? but you don't see that change because you see them every day. But when you like saw a friend and then you saw them like maybe like 5 years from now, you're like, holy shit, like you look so different, because it's like so sudden. Do you like get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So with the piece, it's like that. When I have like, a piece that I've been working on for like days and like I have it in front of me, I can like barely notice like any like I get so absorbed in it that my judgment becomes like a little blurred. So she comes and says, she's like, oh, it doesn't look like that. It's sometimes it's like a little ruthless, but I'll take it. I've learned to be like a little better about it. There was like a piece recently. I haven't like published it yet. It's because it's like a commission, but like she came and she saw it. She's like no way, like that doesn't look like you can do so much better. So I like basically deleted like the whole piece like 5 times. That one was a struggle, but I'm so happy because like I was like about to like kind of like give up on it, but I was like I can't like give up on it, and then it came out and it's great. I love it.
So obviously, like, the creative side comes to you fairly naturally, but then you had to figure out kind of the business side of this whole thing,
Right, right.
like pricing yourself, and then like sales models, like, getting your stuff online, art galleries, like, yeah, I don't know, like how did you go about learning about kind of building your own like small business around your art? Where did you go about getting all that information and, moving forward with it?
Yeah, so I used to it kind of was like I pretty much just like threw myself like out there. It went from like being in the studio to like, okay, let's do like, and this is like also like kind of like a good thing for starting artists to do like local art fairs and stuff. And if you stick around enough, you do learn like a bunch from it. Some experiences are quite rough. Some of them are, great. But I did those for like about a year. Just like a bunch of like art shows like all over Miami, and I learned a lot through that. Some of them were like a little crazy, but yeah,
So just
yeah,
basically like trial by fire, just get out into it and see what other people are doing, and then
yeah. That's the best way. That's the best way. Like now I've been like, fortunate enough to like be able to just do online, and I've been doing well with it. Um, if I was like starting now, I'm not sure, because like you as an artist, you need like a collector base, right? Like if I had to like start like the thing tomorrow from scratch, it would be like quite difficult because like I don't know, but I have like some people that know me, and they refer, like also like referral system is like really good, so that has
so
been.
I wanted to ask you about this
But the
because you
struggle was
do.
so real before. Sorry,
Oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sure. But because I did want to ask you about collectors, because you say you're collectors, and I wasn't sure if that was just like you being really nice and like kind of, because like when I think of a collector, I think of like kind of high society, a lot
Right,
of
right,
money,
right.
hoity-toity, yada yada. But like,
There
uh,
is some like there are people like that. So like I'm like not in those leagues for sure. I mean the art market is like crazy, and I read some of the stuff online. And I mean some pieces like when a piece sells for like $10 million, like, or like a print sell for like 5 grand or something, I'm like, what? But there's like a whole bureaucracy going with that, and like art museums, and like who has like what collections, and like who knows who and stuff. I don't have like I have like zero art connections. So it really was just like me coming across some like people like during my art shows who were like, oh, some of them have like big collections, some of them are like, this is like my first original that I'm getting. um So it's like, and then there's like everything in between. um there's people who like, you know, commission pieces. They're like, I want like this and that. A lot of, usually for like people like my collectors, they go from like anywhere from like one piece, and I had people buy like 10 pieces. um they they're like, okay, I want like this three, and then I want this one, and you know, they kind of like go on like that.
Right. Yeah. So your collector, like the collectors that you deal with are kind of exactly what I'm thinking of, but it's just not like as like high
Well, they
society
come
level. It's like it's just
of some of
more enthusiasts, or
I have like different kinds of collectors, like from all backgrounds. Um, you know, I like, there are people who are in their early 20s, who like maybe like Star Wars fans like you and I. They're like, I want like this or that. But there are also like, you know, maybe like a wife who saw like two pieces of like the art, and like she really, you know, like a more established family type of thing. And then again, everything between. I will say that like that I love, one of the things that I love about like art stuff is that like it's allowed me to meet a very interesting like different like range of people,
yeah.
from like all different backgrounds. So that's very cool.
Yeah, well, so that was kind of another. I imagine you kind of have the same answer for this as you do your collectors, but you know, as an artist, you know, cultivating an audience is kind of an interesting thing, and not easy to do. There's a lot of people that try to go online and build an audience for themselves, and it just doesn't happen for one reason or another. But you seem to have a great one. Like, I see the way that you interact with people on Instagram, and you have a really strong audience. Do you Was it intentional? Did you like strike gold somewhere? Like, was there a moment that you realized that like everything was growing?
Um, so it depends. I will say, um, I just like there are like people that like you click with, and there are people that you don't click with. Um, and I've seen that happens with me like quite often. Like if I have like nothing to talk to you, then like, or you know, we like a pretty like bland conversation, even if you're like, I don't know. But it's just like, I don't know. So some people like connect with like the stuff that I have, and like I wouldn't say that I'm like trying. Um, in fact, like I rather like not try, and like, you know, I like I'll say like, if people like what I have, then that's like great. But I'm not like gonna like, you know, go out of like my way to like make people like what I'm doing, or like who I am or something. Like, you know, like this is it, take it or leave it.
I feel like this is probably amazing advice, but it sounds like terrible advice.
Yeah, I
You know what
mean,
I mean? Like, you're like, I just don't
I'll
really
also
want to
say that,
do anything, and I don't really care if anybody likes it. I want them to like it, but whatever. Like,
no, but I'll say it's good that they like them, because okay, if I was not me and I saw my stuff, and this is gonna sound like really like annoying, but like if I saw like some of the pieces that I do, I would 100% like buy them. Whereas like sometimes, like I try to like make stuff that I would personally buy. Like if
yeah,
there's some stuff that like I'll make it, and I'm like, there's like, this is like ugly. Like I couldn't even like buy it myself. Like, I'm not gonna put this out there. That's only happened like twice. One of them was like this little like alien figure that had like a helmet, and it was like so battered. I was like, I kept it in my studio. I was like this is like, this looks like a 5-year-old like drew it. I am not putting this like out there. So first I'll try to like make something that I want, of course, and then something that I would buy myself. And if, you know, there are other people out there that would definitely want it, they like want to like make the investment or whatever, and then that's happened to be great. And I understand that's not like the best like business philosophy, especially like my dad, he's like a great like business person, and he's like, oh, you like, he'll say like, oh, you made a baby Yoda and it sold, make 10 more. And then like that, like it doesn't, like I couldn't make like 10 more. I don't want to make 10 more. Now I want to do like this and that. It's like, well, you because you sold that baby Yoda, now you're not gonna make like any more. And like I'll make it when the time comes, but not like I'll make it so I can like sell it. Like I'll just like make it if it like feels right. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like the best business person.
Well, so
Horrible.
in you saying that though, do you have anybody that kind of helps you out
You,
with the business
you
side of
should
stuff?
like see me at shows. I'd like like I don't
I've seen
really
a video of you actually.
yeah. So like I there's like I wasn't meant to be like a salesperson. Like a person walks into my booth and you know like they want to buy a painting. I'm like, hi, like how are you? You know, they like ask how much. And like most artists, a lot of artists like they love talking. I have some friends who are artists and like they can talk to you about like a piece for like ever, and they get like really into it. And I'm just like, you know, I don't know. I'm not like the most like talkative of person. And you could see from like that video too. It's kind of the same.
It's a funny video, but I actually there's something to be said about because your art is really colorful when you really want it to be. It is like super vibrant and colorful. And you know, no pun intended, paint yourself as like this rather introverted person. So it's kind of interesting that like your art kind of presents a personality that maybe you're not comfortable embodying.
What like I mean, I don't know, like what, so like you mean that because like the art is like super colorful, then I should be like
Not that you should be, but I think if people see that type of a stuff, they kind of imagine that maybe you would be like this really like energetic and super
bubbly?
personal and like
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
wanting to engage and yada yada. And like not for nothing, like I can do this one-on-one type of thing. I can do. I don't necessarily thrive in crowds, and I don't necessarily thrive like if this conversation happened randomly. I don't know how comfortable I would be in it. So I kind of understand that, or like someone just comes up to you and you're like, I have to be prepared to talk to this person, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not always. But
Right, right,
this I
right.
can do. So I kind of get what that dynamic is, at least in your from your perspective, where you know someone comes up to you and you're just like, yeah, I did these, but like honestly, if you want them, just buy it. Like I'm not gonna sell you on it.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I just I would say that like yeah, there I do have like some friends that are artists and like their stuff is like super colorful and like they have this like you said like super vibrant personality and like they're like you know so bubbly and this, but um I think like I just like I'd rather let the art talk like itself. I've like already put like enough like you know thought into it and stuff, and like sometimes like explaining it with words it's kind of like it seems like too unnecessary or like extra or something. And like at the end of the day, whatever like thought that I had making that piece is like probably different than your perception, and you're buying it because um you know you have some preconceptions or like some things about it that you associated, and that's what made you like it, which might be different than me. So like, for example, I had this one, I'll give you like an example of what I'm saying. Like
Okay.
one time I made a piece with like a bunch of butterflies and stuff. And I like make butterflies because to me, like they symbolize like freedom and like beauty and fragility and all this stuff, right? But like this woman like came to me once and she was like, I love that painting. And I was like, oh, okay, great, like cool. And she starts like talking to me how she specifically loved it because it reminded her of like some family member that had died, and before they died they said that when they would die they would like turn into like butterflies, which I thought it was like an amazing concept, but obviously that's not like the intention that I made it with.
Right.
So you know, everyone's gonna have like their um setup why they like a piece.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not like a super secret thing that people say that art is subjective. You know, it's in the eye of the beholder or whatever.
Right.
Or is that beauty, I guess? But I guess that's kind of the same thing with art, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I totally get that. So your whatever your take on it is maybe completely different than whatever, you know, is there like predisposed disposition to seeing that painting or that, you know, that piece that you did and whatever popped into their head. Those things might be completely different.
Right.
So you're in the industry now. How long have you really been doing art? Like, you know, how long have you been seriously in it?
Seriously, only like since I came to Miami. So the past like 2 years, and in like one of those years, I was doing like the grad school half time and then the art half time,
Mm-hmm.
but like full time like for a year, I would say.
That's
So.
incredible. So obviously you're figuring out that like this is an industry. It usually means there's some good players and bad players in it, like positive and negative things about it, aspects you absolutely look forward to experiencing more of, and aspects you could do without. So, like, what are some of your favorite things about the art world, and what are maybe some of the things you'd like to see change?
Yeah. What was the question?
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. No, so yeah, like what are your favorite things about the art world that that like you've really grown to enjoy over the last, you know, like 2 years, and then you know, maybe what are some things that you wish would change?
Um, so I would say that like as I mentioned earlier, definitely like meeting like different kinds of people has been really cool. I think like I like with it like with the art stuff, I connect with people in like a whole different way. I just love like connecting. It's interesting like to see like the different types of people that there are, for example. So with physics, like we're all like a very particular kind of people. Um, and you know, I don't want to like categorize them. This is like physics people, but they're very different than like most people. Um, most people are like their own kind too. And then with art, it's like entirely different. I don't necessarily like fit that much into like the art category because, like as you were saying, like I'm not like, you know, want to like all about like talk about my art and like super bubbly and stuff about it, but um I find it like sort of like fun to connect with people, with different kinds of people that way. And it's not something that like I'll necessarily like do forever. I have like other things that I'd like to do, but just having fun with it all.
Right on. Well, I mean, not for nothing, I think art can kind of be can be a pathway to just about anything you want it to be. Um, that kind of being said, I know you have like a little bit of like a clothing design background. I don't know if you still do it at all. Are you still into designing clothes? Like what role does like fashion play in your art?
I mean, it's just something that like I did for a bit and that it was fun. So taking like a piece of code and like, you know, kind of like mess it up, and um, it's kind of like a whole, I don't know. I thought it was like fun. It was like a momentary thing. I don't think I'm not like that much into like fashion design. Um, it is fun. It's not like my mind doesn't get, you know, too occupied with it. I don't see the fun in it like that much.
You are the most relaxed, like unintentionally successful person I've ever met. Uh so but like to spin off of fashion a little bit, like if you don't have a modeling background, you're a pure natural in front of the lens when you take photos. So like, do you have a modeling background? Do you do modeling? Like, is that anything that you've ever embarked in?
Sometimes people take pictures of me and they come out nice. And sometimes
And that's as far as you can say, is that you're a model?
no, I mean, so like I work with like a few agencies.
Oh, okay. I like you like really like downplayed it, like there's a random person with a camera, and then you're like, oh yeah, actually there's a
And I was
couple
like
agents.
sneezing, and they like made it look great. That's what photographers do, though, and that's why like I'm not like that much. Like I think it's like, I mean, the way it's like a whole thing, but like, you know, these pictures, like some of them are quite like manipulated and stuff, and like they don't look like, nobody looks like that. But that is something that I do, and that I've like, you know, I have like some W2s or nines or whatever the numbers is for.
Well, I mean, the shots that you
Something I
take
pay
of
taxes for.
the shots that you have of yourself next to your pieces, like I don't know if you have anybody come in.
Oh no, dude, no, those are those are like not professional. That's like my mom, basically. She
Yeah.
doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. She's like, okay, I took 3. That's it. Can I go now? And I'm like, but mom. um,
Fair.
yeah, no, I can see how it's like annoying.
No, but I mean, even still, like that actually goes to my point a little bit more, where it just looks like you know what to do in front of a camera.
Yeah, I mean, I've so that's like another thing that I just mentioned I do. So like working with agencies, I've done like some work for like some brands like here and there. So like, you know, like the very first time that I like did it, I was like, I like, you know, but now like I've done like get out of it. It's not I like love posting, but you know, it's whatever. Um, so there is that.
Um,
What?
so no, nothing. I don't know. You're an interesting one, man. You're so laissez-faire. You're like very like just kind of wherever. I you know what? I think I love these podcasts because I get to see, you know, we're almost 2 hours into this, which is insane, but I get to see the authenticity of people. And you know, there have been a handful of people that I only met or I only knew via social media. So I had maybe some impressions of them, and maybe like uh, how like almost militant they must be with their brand, or how they are with their business or whatever. Like, and I feel like you are so laid back, and you're so um I feel like you're very in this moment though. Like you're indulgent in the fact that like this is happening and this is what you're dealing with at this moment. Like I'm an artist right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to be later, but this is me and I'm making these pieces and they're selling and that's awesome. And I have this Instagram and that's going really well. And you know, hopefully when galleries come back, like that'll keep going really well. But I have these online sales and they're going really well. And so cool. I like this. Like that's like I just think that that's such an interesting thing that that you have this. You really truly just kind of stumbled into this, and but you're kind of doing what works, right? You didn't intentionally get into it, so you're not
Right.
intentionally changing it. You're just kind of being a tumbleweed with the wind.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, honestly, like what I really want to do. So, and this is like sort of like being my theme since I was like 14 or something, 13 maybe. So when I was like really little, I thought that I wanted to read all of like humanity's like masterpieces. So like I love reading, I love literature and philosophy like the most. I don't like other terms of like genres. Some sci-fi is cool for sure, but most like literature and philosophy.
Star Wars.
Yeah, but I haven't really read the books though. The like not even like fan fictions and stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't really read too much of it, but the newer stuff that's come out that's been books on tape are really good because they like make all kinds of different voices and they have different sound effects and stuff. It's like almost like listening to a movie.
yeah, yeah. No, I have a friend who's doing that. So it's like a whole new thing for me, like kind of like an audiobook, kind of like
Yeah.
make it like an audiobook. Yeah. But yeah, going back to like my point, so I thought I want to read like all of masterpieces. I want to like know as much as I can about some things. But then, then high school like took over, and then you have to study to get good grades, and college came and you have to like study and spend a bunch of time to get good grades. So I realized that like what I was lacking was time. Um, and if like and that's what like one of the reasons why like having like a 9 to 5 wouldn't like be like necessarily like the thing that I would want to go to, because I would be like stuck in like this cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So what I really want to do, even like with the art stuff, I want to like work in these pieces, have them going, and have time to do other things that I want. um Being like reading a bunch. Eventually I want to do like charity if I can, if I'm like in that position, uh, and sort of like help in any way that I can. And that's like it. But yeah, other than that, I'm like just like chilling, like whatever. Not thinking like that much about like the future or like planning. Just kind of like being happy with what's happening and grateful, and hope that it keeps going, sort of.
Yeah, so kind of interesting that you brought up charity because it kind of tied me back to what you said originally when you were talking about possibly getting into politics. Um, and I
Yeah.
technically disagree with your parents. I think that really they were just kind of doing you a favor in the fact that like if you're a politician, to be a politician, you just have to accept the fact that they're going to tear your life apart. Like they are going to
Yeah.
dig into every single aspect of you and they're going to try to use it against you. And whenever, especially if you're running against somebody that's like established, they're going to just smear you endlessly. So I can understand how people wouldn't want you to be involved in it. But you kind of bringing that up, I don't know. Is there still a part of you that goes, maybe still politics?
I don't know, man. Like, so also like what you did, like journalism is something I thought about doing, but like war journalism. And like the war is like such a fucked up place. Like they're like, we don't see it here, but there's so many like tragedies, like, countries that are like in entire despair, like basically like the whole Middle East. It's like all kinds of like fucked up stories that we don't even like imagine. So one thing that I wanted to do, like thought about, like, you know, kind of like going, do you know Steve McCurry?
Yeah.
So something like that, like taking like all of these like cool portraits of people and, you know, helping these places and stuff. I thought that was like super cool, kind of like documenting um that whole thing. And then maybe like journalism was like really interesting to me, like writing like these people's stories and stuff, getting like the word to see and maybe like inspire some change. But I don't know, it's like a complex thing. Then like the other parts of me, which is like more of like a misanthrope is a word.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, fuck people. I want to take like be like a nat geo photographer and just like wildlife photographer. You know, that's sorry.
So I got really into video whenever I was in college, and whenever I got out of college, I was like, what am I going to do? And I just so happened to in like my junior into my senior year, I was tour managing for bands. So I had traveled all over the US in a van and we drove everywhere. I got like this insane travel bug. So
Oh.
I looked up National Geographic to see if they had any videographer positions.
Yeah.
And they did. And I started the application process. And they, like, even before you finish applying for the job, they basically have you sign a waiver that, like, I mean, they tell you that like they have all this money and everything like that. They'll basically compensate your family, but like you have to sign this waiver that like if you get mauled by like a shark or if you get mauled by a lion
Oh,
or something
like
like that,
liability.
yeah, that like your family can't
Shoot.
sue them, but like you can that like they'll still take care of them, but like yeah, you couldn't sue them for, you know, you picked the job, right? You knew the risk.
Right.
And I was like, I'm 22. I'm not ready to be mauled by a lion, to be honest with you. If we're being honest, I'm not ready for that right now.
Or ever.
Yeah, or ever. But I mean, honestly, I'm more ready to be mauled by a lion now than I was when I was at 22. I think I have more things under my belt now that I think that I could.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go out, I could deal with it being now and not when I was
Your
22.
last breath to the lion is like, thank you.
Thanks, you gave me 14 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing, I just like thought about all these things. If I was like a nat geo like photographer, I would, so I'm like a huge like I mean, I don't want to say huge, like I care a lot because I was gonna say I'm an animal advocate, but I don't really like to like shit like activism for animals and stuff, but I do love them. And
Right.
I think like, you know, the whole thing is like kind of like fucked up and primitive. So I thought like if the and then some poachers like kill those lions, I would like freaking like lose it and like then get fired on the spot, and yeah, it just wouldn't go well. I couldn't. I like I don't know, just like that whole feeling of like not being able to like you document it, but you can't do anything about it. Kind of like that photographer who took like the picture of like the African child that was like starving. I don't know if he was like necessarily in that full position, but like you like do you, I don't know.
Right, where you're supposed to just document, but you can't intervene.
Right. Documentation without action, and you just cause like, yeah, you're doing like exposure and stuff, but like at the end of the day, I mean, people see these pictures, yeah, it like, you know, inspires like some humanity in them and stuff, but you know, nothing. The real change is in politics, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
a
know.
whole other thing, man. It's a whole other thing. Um, but so I don't know. So we're talking about charity and politics, and then like, you know, you have like this background in physics, and you're just so generally creative. You're
Let's just give
artistic.
it all to the AI.
Just give it to the AI.
Yeah, they'll take care of it. They're smarter. They'll know what to do.
They're just gonna eliminate us. They're gonna be like, "You're so flawed. You're just a bunch of errors."
It's just like coding error,
They're
error.
gonna look at us. They're gonna be like, "You're a virus. We're gonna come up with a vaccine for the virus. we're gonna
Yeah.
come up with the virus scan for the virus."
Yeah, I mean, that whole concept is so interesting. Like, you know, I think that like the best way to like keep with it is to kind of like maybe try to collaborate with them and like, kind of maybe do like half of your brain it's like AI, and then you still keep some part like human or whatever.
Oh, you and Elon Musk are gonna be real good friends. You're gonna do that Neuralink.
Yeah, that Neuralink, it's like so many years from, I don't know, like the way like the law works, it may like not happen in like at least like 50 years or something.
You're a billionaire. That'll happen tomorrow if they wanted to.
Yeah.
We know what they can do. He threw a car into space.
Oh, that whole thing with
And not only he was like, it's going to land on Mars, and then it's going to miss Mars. It's just going endlessly into space.
So it just like went forever. Like,
yeah, so it's just space litter. It's just trash into space. Oh, but it's a Tesla though, so it's nice trash in space. So all the aliens that are floating around are gonna be like, what is like? It's a car. Like, what are these humans up to?
yeah.
But so like I don't like with all of that being said, you keep you bring up AI and
It's
you
the
have
future.
yeah. I don't know. Is there a question nobody has ever asked you, but like you wish someone would, or like is there a conversation you wish people were having, but it just doesn't appear that like they are? I feel like you're an intellectual, and that's something that has like graced your brain before. You're like, man, I just wish somebody would ask me this so we can have this conversation, or that I wish somebody was having this conversation so that people were having this conversation.
If I told you I had to kill you.
Oh, Jesus.
No, I mean,
God, that's so Russian. I thought like you're Venezuelan.
no, I lived in Russia for a bit, for like back and forth here and
Oh, I
there
think we're gonna have to end this.
situation.
This is all of a sudden now my whole family's in danger.
No, they're great people. They're just like misunderstood. Like their sense of humor. The thing that I've seen with like Russians and stuff is like their sense of humor doesn't click with like American sense of humor. Like they'll do like sarcasm where like Americans will think that they're just like being arrogant, but like they mean well. There shouldn't be like a whole.
There's bravado in it, right? Like everything is like high confidence, right?
Right. That's,
So I had a couple Russian girls in some of my journalism classes, and it took me like a couple weeks to really understand them, because they were friendly. Like you could totally have a conversation with them, but I just didn't understand. Like there was just a loss of translation in our humor and just the way that we communicated. And I was like I don't know if they're trying to like emasculate me or if they're just trying to like establish some sort of like intellectual dominance over like there seems to be a game going on here, and I can't figure out the rules of this game. But it's just like and that's at a time where I wasn't very like culturally curious.
Right.
And so I wasn't really I don't know. I wasn't really able to put the pieces together intellectually, but eventually I just realized that like it's very valuable to them to be confident. So they deliver everything very confidently. And if you are not a confident person and then that thing is delivered onto you,
you'll take it as an attack.
Yeah. It'll feel like they like made you try to carry something that was too heavy. It's very interesting. But that was an interesting experience that I had with some Russian girls that were in my classes. And man, that those like big, like really hard, like R's that they really lay into. They like really lean into it. God, like the accents that they had were so strong. It's a very intimidating culture.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't think they're like as different. Like, I can think of like at the end of the day, I was gonna say like I can think of like cultures that are like way more different, like us and like like Middle Eastern, but with Hispanic culture and like Middle Eastern, there's like a lot in common. Maybe not so much like American and Middle Eastern, like North, like US, just because like you guys are like way more liberal and like family values for like us and them are like way more conservative. Um, I would say probably like the furthest thing that I can think of like is like Asian and then I'm thinking like China, but with Russia like I don't really see like that much of a difference. With China, I see like one big difference is like the whole like collective mind type of thing and like we function as society because of like the collective makes it work, whereas like
Mm-hmm.
in America like individuality and like that sort of stuff is like valued so much. It's like you gotta like be yourself and this and this and that, where like in places like China it's like no, you work as like a part of like society and like this is like your mission to like maybe you're not like the biggest part, like the most important, but you're just like like do you get like where I'm going?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I actually, I've talked about this with a couple people, where you brought up individuality.
Individuality.
Jeez, oh man, Eli, use your words. Um, yeah, that
It's
makes
all
for a
that
great
gin.
pod. Yeah, and I've moved on to whiskey because I finished the gin. Um,
Nice.
so the the idea of individuality, Jesus Christ, I feel like has kind of run amok a little bit, like has almost gotten too extreme in the US, where like the sense of community is really, really deteriorating. And I only came to that realization, or to that theory, during all of this, during like this whole pandemic thing. Like, I live in Pittsburgh. I'm in the city proper. I know the people that live, like, I'm in like a quadplex, so I know my neighbors. I know the people that live. I know the people who live under me. I know the people that live next to me, and people that live diagonally from me. But
Yeah.
like, I don't really know my neighbors. But I've lived here
Right.
for 7 years, 8 years,
Yeah.
something like that. And there's just something about this culture that we have here, where, um, like, anybody that's a stranger, the default is that there's probably something dangerous about them. Like, don't talk to them, don't interact with them, because like there's a possibility that they're dangerous.
Right,
But
right,
like,
right.
the possibility that they might be odd, right? Like, you might not agree, but the possibility that they're that dangerous seems minuscule to me. Going back to what I was saying before about how I was traveling with a band, and touring the US. I stayed at a lot of random people's houses that, like, I just met that night. you
Right,
know
right.
that was probably not any. If my parents listen to this, they're not going to be stoked. But I did that all over the country. I basically was a couch surfer,
Yeah.
and I do have this interesting perspective of people that they're whatever we've been taught about, like our default positions on strangers, it's probably not correct. And I understand that, like, it's probably an easy thing to do for managing your kids, like how to make sure that they stay close or whatever. But man, I just don't think it's really healthy for us in the long run. And now I think that, like, the idea of community has broken down, where communities only exist online, but truly you don't even know who those people are in person. So you could be passing them on the street and they might be in your quote unquote online community, but you pass them and you go, this person is potentially dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like you have like some kind of like, that sounds like a kind of like that, having like a child mentality as a society. It's like anyone can be dangerous. Everyone's a stranger. You know, don't talk to strangers, basically.
Right.
Um,
We've
because
lost nuance, I think, and we've just lost detail. Like our curiosity, I think, is slim to none. I think everybody thinks that they're the center of their own movie, and
yeah, and
and
that's
that their
something.
movie is the most important as well, even though they could be just nothing. They're just a cog in the wheel, really.
Yeah, I mean that's something that like social media has like also brought, because like it gives people like a fake, and I don't even know that, like I wouldn't even necessarily like catalog it as like fake, but it gives people like a feeling of like being connected without being connected, of like having that like, you know, social interaction without really having like a social interaction.
Right.
Um, so, you know, like on Facebook you can like have like 10 people that you talk to, like, and they like comment on your pictures or whatever, but they don't really, other than that's like pretty much it. um
Yeah, the
I
echo chamber.
Right, I personally, I mean, I talk to like a bunch of people online, and I do feel, I mean, I overall like I like my interactions with those people. You know, they come here, like they can crash, like whatever, like I don't really care. But I can see how that's like not healthy, um if taken like to the extreme, you know,
Yeah.
I would say. So definitely it's something to like watch out for.
I mean, I couldn't really
But
couldn't
the
really disagree with that.
the thinking that like Aaron's like dangerous, and like that whole thing that was like created with like Russia because of like the Cold War, it's like, I mean, I think it's like time to like get over it. Like they, yeah, there might be like some things like going on, but like at the end of the day those quarrels are like, I don't know, they're like created between like governments to like make people think that they're like against each other, but like when you talk to like the regular person, like they just really don't know that well. Even like when you're there, they're like, oh, Americans, and like they have like these like predispositions, but like they're a blast to like hang out with, you know, just bring in the booze and, you know, have fun.
We definitely do love our booze. And that's actually funny. I watched you know, you and I have talked about politics, like, which is a dangerous thing to do.
Oh my
You
god,
and
yeah.
I, well, not that you and I would be dangerous to talk about it, but just
But
you know,
with some
to
people it
talk
can
with
be like,
people, yeah.
yeah.
But you and I have talked about it, and it's been fine. But I actually was, you know, was
It's like
doing
with sports team, like people take it like so, like they think it's like so personal, and like dude, like you take it more personal than the players. I bet like they probably don't even care about the rivalry as much as you care.
right. Yeah, they just pick a side and they stick with it, and they
Right,
don't care whether or not what they're doing is good or bad, or what they're saying is true or false. They're just like, this is my side, and that's that.
right,
Um,
right.
but I was I'd watched something last night from one of the I think I gave you I'll say it after we do this recording, but I think I gave you this person's channel when we were talking about it. What they were talking, I guess there was a election that just happened in Venezuela, and the New York Times reported on it, and but then this guy came on the channel that I was one of the channels I was talking about, and he was like, there wasn't a single New York Times reporter there, and they didn't hire anybody to be on the ground reporting about it, but they called it like a totally illegitimate election.
Yeah,
And like that's just kind of the things that happen in the US, and like, and that's the thing that drives other countries crazy about us, because we will fill the heads of the people that live here with nonsense, and they'll absorb it as fact.
Yeah.
But there's like nothing strong enough to kind of work against it, unless like you do your due diligence to find
Yeah.
true news.
Yeah, no, like the way like the whole media structure works, and like they're like manufacturing of there's this like like Chomsky, like manufacture of
Manufacturer
instinct,
consent.
right? It's and I feel like bad for like people who like don't ever like, I mean, I don't want to say that because it sounds like crazy, like condescending, but like some people aren't aware of this and they just like buy like right into it without ever like wondering or questioning, and they're like victims. And I don't know, it's a very unfortunate position to like be in. Think like you're from like Pittsburgh, and that's like a city, and I'm in Miami, and that's also another city. But, like, think of like people like in the middle of like Iowa or something. I
Right.
don't know. Like they're not like exposed to like a whole lot.
Well,
So
so this is interesting to me because like I never, I grew up in the United States, so I just see the United States as a country. But then it wasn't until like maybe I was in college that I realized that the United States is so big that it fits like an unbelievable amount of countries inside of it.
yeah.
Like entire countries fit inside states,
And
you
then you
know?
think of like how different countries can be, and then
Right. And then you like state to state are very different cultures. And it's a wonder that we even get along so well. Or I mean, I shouldn't say that we get along so well, because it doesn't seem like we do right now. But um, is that like uh, you talking about Iowa and whatnot? Um, is that something that like struck you as interesting whenever you got here, like to kind of see the scope of I guess like the spectrum of different type of people that are all like supposed to be considered one country, but they're so wildly different, and all you have to do is go about 100 miles,
yeah,
maybe not even like 50,
right,
and
yeah.
their values are completely different.
Yeah, I didn't really see that much until like I recently was in Texas, and I went from like Houston and just got like an hour out of like Houston because I was on the way to Austin. And it's just like people, I felt like I was like in a whole different like world, like the way they like spoke and stuff. It wasn't so like when I first came here, it wasn't like that much of like a shock. One, because I went to Boston, which is like a very liberal city. It's all a bunch of like students. I was on campus, so campus really see much of what's going on around it. So it wasn't like a cultural shock or something. Um, and even now, I don't really deal with like I've never met someone from like Iowa and stuff. So like when I see like Iowa or like places like that, that's because like those are like the most like random places that I can think of, and that they're probably like it's like the countryside, so it's like more different. But I really don't know like what it's like out there.
Yeah.
I've asked friends and stuff. They said it's like kind of boring because it's like small towns and there's like not a whole lot to do.
It's
Um,
different. I mean, so me doing the touring and everything like that, I basically
yeah.
been to almost every state there is.
Well.
And which is wild. It's awesome to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Um, but it is very interesting. You notice culture differences as you every so many miles, you'll stop and you'll talk to people, and you'll notice just the way that they talk is different. Just the words that they use, the way that they use them, the way that they put together sentences. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's a big place. I don't even know how the hell did we even get onto this. We should probably wrap this up. We've gotten so far away from you being an artist.
Talking about people in Iowa.
I know. Now we're talking about people in Iowa. All right. Well, let me give you a couple fun Star Wars questions before we do my official wrap up, and then we'll call it a day. So, all right. What's your favorite character? Star Wars character.
I would say there are two that I can think of. So I would say, okay, like, and don't take like what I'm about to say as like my final, answer, because obviously like that can change. So I do love, I love Yoda. So there are two, okay, that I can think of, and I couldn't like make up. So like Yoda is amazing because I think he's like, very wise. He's kind of like a Dalai Lama type of person, which is like a terrible thing to say, but like he's like just like so full of like wisdom and stuff, and I love that. But also Anakin kind of like going to like his whole transition, like becoming like Darth Vader and stuff. That's something I can really connect to, and it kind of like resonates with me because I mean I feel bad for him and that whole thing that happened.
I do think that he has a very relatable story arc. Mine is Darth Maul. And if you watch, you finish Clone Wars, and then you have to watch Star Wars Rebels as well.
Yeah.
And he plays a huge part in both of those cartoons. And obviously, I kind of blew it for you because I've
heard that before though. I heard that before, and like I heard
I'm glad that you know that he comes back, and I didn't like spoil it for you. But yeah, he comes back, and he plays the best agent of chaos I have ever seen in my entire life. I think he's one of the most amazing characters there is. And that's, everybody thought he was awesome just because of how cool he looked, but he really is an unbelievable character. What are your feelings about the new trilogy?
So I just wanted to say something really clear about like the whole Baby Yoda thing, and like but like just like a quick question, like do you think Baby Yoda is gonna turn bad, like gonna turn bad to dark side or something after like Grogu, and then it's gonna be like we're gonna have like a good Grogu, bad Grogu, and they're gonna be like Magneto and Professor
and then
X.
What, the like Mandalorian's gonna have to like kill him?
No, they're just gonna have like this like ongoing thing like Magneto and Professor X, where they're like, both super powerful and like kind of like going.
They can't have it go on for too long though, because it's gotta end before the movies. I feel like people would know about it. You know what I mean? Like that's in between Return of the Jedi and A Force Awakens. So it's got 30 years to play out, but for him, that's like he's 50 years old.
Right. So that would be like at least like
he would be like adolescent Yoda or whatever at that point in time. So I don't know. But I think it would be if that direction happened, if Grogu turned bad, I think what would end up needing to happen is that Mandalorian, what is his name? God, I can't think of his name. Jaren. Whatever. But the Mandalorian is gonna. I would imagine it would be it'd be the most climactic ending if he had to then kill Grogu. So that will be my 2 cents on that idea.
My 2 cents.
But feelings on the new trilogy. What did you think?
Like the like what like you know what I mean, like what's like coming?
Did you like the 3 movies that came out?
Oh,
The
that.
Force
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry,
Awakens,
right. And like the gray and
Rise of
Kylo.
Skywalker, The Last Jedi.
So like I had like this thing with my with a friend where like when I first saw it, when I first watched it, I was like, and at the end, I was like, she's not. She said like, what's your name? She's like Ray what? Ray Skywalker. And like I was like one of those people who was like, she's
Spoiler
not.
alert.
Yeah, she's not like a Skywalker. Because I was like, why couldn't she just like own just say Palpatine and that's the truth, and you know it sucks, but it is what it is. But I just thought, okay, you know, she did enough to like clean her name or whatever, and like she assumed that was that, you know, she could be like a Skywalker and stuff. So why not? I liked it. I didn't like extremely like loved it, but it was like fun to watch. Would I
Yeah.
watch it like 10 times? Probably not. But I think I would set the limit at 5.
I can't even tell you how many times I've watched it, but that's just because I'm upset. Like I just want to catch the little things, right? Like they still do
Right.
really interesting things and like put really small details in there for like big time fans. So I like to catch those things, but yeah, generally like I said earlier, like new Star Wars is good Star Wars to me because like if somebody told me that it was going to be over, like for sure over, they're just done, they're cutting off Star Wars, there's no more, I would be very sad. That would be a very sad day for me.
Yeah.
So new Star Wars is good Star Wars for me. But if I have to be like objective about it, I think they bit off more than they could chew. Like
I was
probably,
gonna say that too.
yeah, like they
The
should have
whole
wrote out the whole trilogy before shooting a single frame of it rather
yeah,
than going like movie by movie and just trying to figure out the story. But they were trying to close off like all of these amazing characters that people
right.
loved from 30 years ago and then trying to establish 3 more characters that hopefully or not more than 3 characters that people would love, and I just don't think it landed very well. But you know, in general, if you ask me like would you rather they existed or they didn't, I would say absolutely. I wish they would. I'm glad that they exist.
You don't have Thanos just like snap.
Yeah. Or yeah, if I could get rid of 50% of the movies, yeah, that would be it. Which goes into my next question where I was going to say, what are your feelings about Rogue One and Solo?
I think I like Rogue One more than Solo. Just because like I think that Rogue One had like a more like in-depth storyline than it, where like Solo was like more fun to like watch and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure the actor who did it. I'm not sure if it's like 100% like the best to be casted for that role, but yeah, I think if I gave Rogue One like a, let's say like an 8, I would give Solo like a 6.5, maybe a 7. I enjoyed like Rogue a lot more. I thought
Right
it
on.
had like yeah.
You should take, so I've been doing this thing with myself where I feel like 7 is always like a very safe answer. Like, it's not an 8, it's not a
Because like a
6.
6 sounds like, you know.
Right. So I've been making myself go, all right, 1 through 10, but you can't pick 7. So
Oh,
if you're leaning, it's a high 7, but it's not an 8, you would give it a 7.5. But you gotta give it the 8. You know, you have to commit to what side of the 7 that you
maybe
like.
with like 5 drinks, it could be like a solid 8.
Right. So yeah, that's been a new thing that I've been doing is 1 through 10, but you can't choose 7 because most people will give it a 7 because it seems not that insulting, right?
Right.
Um, okay, so we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but like, how impossibly good is The Mandalorian? It's
It's
so
really well
good.
done. It's really well done. They did quite like an impeccable job. Like the just everything about it. I wish that maybe um it just seems I wish the episodes were longer, so they could like work more and like. And I already love the character development they're doing with it, but if the episodes were longer, they could even like, I don't know, we just need more of it, basically.
The weird thing is, right, so none of them are the same length. They're just a random length.
Right. But still, I feel like 45 minutes would be like a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just they sometimes, oftentimes they feel short, I would say. But other than that, great job.
I
Like
think
I
all
see.
that means is that you want more, but they were great episodes. Like you just are selfishly wanting a little bit more.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like they
I
gave me like a great ice cream to try, and they just give me like a tiny bit. I'm like, it's great, but can I have more?
can I
Like,
have way more.
yeah, basically.
All
So
right, well, this is like silly as hell, but like, what would you give to be able to hold Grogu? Like, what would you give to be able to like literally just like baby style cradle Grogu in your arms?
that would be so adorable. I can I like raise him too? I would like to teach him so many things. To be like, okay, Grogu, we're gonna paint today. We're gonna paint you. So he would be like a great model. He would just like sit there. I'll give him as many blue cookies and like eggs as he wanted.
Just
Just
have him
like
puke all over himself.
right. I wouldn't be like Mando, like so rough on him, like give me that. You can't have that. I'll be like, you want the metal ball? Like here you go. You can have
Although,
it.
in his defense, he only puked during like barrel rolls in space. Like he wasn't like that fool. He was
Right.
definitely he was definitely like motion sick. That was a little aggressive.
Dude, that whole scene where he was like talking with Ahsoka at night and like like I mean like with her mind, I thought that was like so awesome. Like it was like the cutest thing. After I saw that, I was like, I want to make like 20 paintings with like Ahsoka like holding Baby Yoda, Ahsoka like playing with Baby, like all like just Ahsoka and Baby Yoda all the way. That was so freaking cute. And I watched the episode with my parents like a second time
Hmm.
when it was like coming. I was like watch, like you have to really pay attention to this part, and they weren't like nearly as excited. And I was like, oh.
Well, so this is actually I'm gonna try to rush to get this put together, so that we can release it, this week before Thursday night. So we might as well put a prediction in it. What do you think? Have you seen the most recent episode? What do you think is going to happen
The one
in
that came out
finale?
yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one actually.
All right. Yeah, I
Because
haven't seen. I'm going to watch it tonight. After this, jumping on a Zoom with a bunch of people, with my cousin and a bunch of people. We're going to
nice,
talk about it. We're going to watch the episode. We're going to get back on and talk about it again.
nice. I would say, um, what if like Mando came back to maybe like find Ahsoka and be like, yo, they kidnapped Baby Yoda. Do you want to come help me out rescue it? And then I don't know. Or are you talking like a more long-term prediction?
No, I mean that we got after this episode, we got one more, so that's more than
And that's
reasonable.
1 year.
Yeah, I think so. They're going at the end of last episode. They brought back that they're going to break out like Bill Burr's character, which is awesome. I'm so excited that he's going to be back. I love that they have him as a recurring character. And then I think that they're going to pull back in Bo-Katan, the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
the Mandalorian that found him.
Right,
And
they definitely set it up for that.
yeah, I think that they're going to kind of have like this Suicide Squad of people that are going to go in and break him out. But I also, so the last episode, Grogu was on his little, his like seer stone or whatever, and he was reaching out with the Force, and they were saying,
Yeah.
if you connect with a Jedi, they'll come get you. So there's a couple Jedi that are out there. And the two that we for sure know about are Ezra Bridger, which I don't know if you actually know about Ezra because you didn't watch Rebels, did you? The cartoon Star Wars Rebels. So he is a Jedi that is like, that is at like right. It's Rebels takes place right before A New Hope, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's when it takes place, right before A New Hope. And then so he's out there, but also Luke Skywalker is out there. And for people that didn't like Luke Skywalker's ending in The Last Skywalker, or not or The Last Jedi, I feel like if they brought him back and he came in and saved Grogu, that would be like such a huge redemption story for Luke, that would be gigantic. But for the people that love Rebels, and because Dave Filoni is so involved in this show, I feel like Ezra Bridger could be the Jedi that comes and like breaks him out. And they actually, like, the Jedi breaks him out, but like this group of people also break in to get him, but he's already gone because the Jedi gets him. So then they have to find him with the Jedi.
Yeah. And then
So that's my little super theory.
And then so he. Do you think that they're just like gonna show up after, like they would just like show up and like find Mando, or do you think that they would have to like go on a mission and like find them and then go back find Grogu?
Who would find Mando?
The Jedi, like.
Oh no, yeah, I don't think that. I think the Jedi would. Well, maybe because they could like communicate with Grogu, maybe they would. But I think more or less, Mando would do like what he does as a bounty hunter and like hunts down the Jedi, like finds where he's at to, just kind of further show how badass he is, because that's kind of this whole the first season I thought he was getting his ass kicked a lot. Like he just seemed like he was always getting shot, and he was always like all these things. It didn't seem like he was like, he was definitely a badass, but he wasn't like
warming up.
He wasn't like such a huge badass. But this season, he is just on another level.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this is what they've been aiming for him to be the whole time. So yeah, I think that they're gonna, like, if my theory is at all correct, that he would then hunt down the Jedi or use his connections with Ahsoka and Bo-Katan to like find, whoever's left.
I like the last one, how it sounds better.
So
I would say, yeah.
That's my theory. All right. Well, let's friggin' wrap this up because I've taken so much of your time. So the last thing that I really do is, since I've been asking you questions the whole time for everybody to hear your answers, I give you the opportunity to ask the people listening a question, and they can respond in like the comments. So do you have a question that you would like to ask everybody listening that they could then respond to you?
I would guess, I don't have any normal questions to ask.
You don't, I mean, some people have gone so super, like, not, I shouldn't call it superficial, but like, so, like,
do you think AI is going to take over soon?
Oh, what's that?
Do you guys think AI is going to take over soon?
Oh, that should definitely be your question. Do you guys think that AI is going to take over us soon? That's a
Next 20
great
years.
question. In the next 20 years. That's a great question. Yeah, I really hope people blow up the comments with that. So thank you so much for this. I still can't believe that I talked you into this. And then not only did I talk you into this, you let me have like 2.5 hours of your time, which is just bonkers. So, thank you for like giving me so much of your time. And like I said in one of our other conversations, whenever the dust settles from all of this, there's 100% a ticket to a Pens hockey game here waiting for you.
It was my first hockey game. I actually haven't been to a single hockey game. Been to many basketball and baseball, but never hockey. I heard it's quite fun though.
It is my favorite of the sports, and I would be honored to introduce you to the live aspect of the game. Plus, the Pens are it's debatable if you want to say they're the best team. I say they're the best team, but they
Bruins
are.
are pretty good too, though.
What's that?
Bruins, Boston Bruins.
They definitely are. They absolutely are. And I actually love playing them. I think it's a really, really exciting game when we play together or play against each other. But I mean, we have Sidney Crosby. So, we have the face of the league. So if you want to see the best of the best, you're going to see him if you come to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, right on. If you want to see something like Miami hits, like come to Miami.
I'm down for coming to Miami. Don't believe me.
It doesn't have to be a bachelor party.
Thankfully, those are winding down, unless it's mine. But I don't intend to have one of those anytime soon. So, yeah, thank you so much. And lastly, tell people where they can find you, your website, your social media, all the stuff.
Yeah, so the Instagram is OG Artificial, kind of like the first thing that I came up with, the cliche, but it's what it occurred to me. And then the website is, OrianaGerezArt.com.
I love, dude, you're so squeamish trying to say it. You're like, I just don't even want to promote myself. It's so funny. You're the
Let
best.
me be part of the destiny. If they come across with it, it's for a reason. Doesn't have to be like.
Well, you're the best. Thank you. I had a blast. Yeah, I mean, you are so interesting. You are so interesting, and I love how on my toes you kept me. Like I have notes and stuff like that for this type of for all of my podcasts. I always have notes, but I mean, it's always fun when people surprise me with who they are, and I just have to act on my feet because I did that like damn near the entire time this time, because you are your personality and just kind of the way that you conduct yourself around your business is so chill and so laid back and so casual. It's a very it was unexpected and very cool. I don't know. I liked it. So thank you. And yeah, we'll have to do this again whenever we can do this in a less than virtual environment.
Yeah, hell yeah. Like a lot more drinks involved. I'm a bad influence.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.